Hey folks, so I'm gonna talk to you about how you can start off your first step of contribution towards Fedora QA. So there are in Fedora QA there are two kinds of testing that we majorly focus on. So one is called the release validation testing and one is the Fedora update testing. Now so every time Fedora releases a release candidate, we test, and we test for almost anything that's there in the candidate. So let's say, so every time if you are subscribed to the test list, you're gonna get a mail every couple of days after that. Hey, you know what, a new compose has come up. Every time a compose comes up, you will be getting a link with it, and it will ask you for release validation tests. Now, if you go to one of those test pages, this is how the test page is going to be. So release validation is when we take up one single ISO and we run a series of tests on that particular ISO without updating any single package. Testing out which are the packages which are working, which are the packages which are not working, and apparently after we are done, just posting our results to the wiki page. So in Fedora you have this test results page. So what it does is it basically tells you the ISO, like when it was created, so a date, and then it's going to give you a list of all those images which you can test for. So you have everything boots to like all the spins. So you can take up any image, you can download them, and you can just boot them up on a virtual machine, and you can start testing. Always make sure you're doing release validation tests on a virtual machine, because it might not just be a very good candidate, and it might just fail, and if you do it on your production machine, things might go ugly. So make sure you have a virtual machine set up when you're trying to do release validation testing. That's one kind. The next thing is, even after Fedora is released, so not all the updates, so it still receives updates. Every time you get updates, the package which is getting updated is not directly pushed to the system. So there is something called update testing, which is in Fedora we call it Bodhi. So Bodhi is that update testing framework, or rather site, where you can test everything or rather every update. So let me just go ahead and quickly log into my account. So Bodhi accepts your fast credentials. So right now I am hitting login. So see, I'm logged in, and the moment I'm logged in, it's going to show me my profile. So let me go to my profile here. So in my profile, you're going to see a list of softwares, like list of updates. Now, let me point to the last thing that I tested. Let me explain what it means. So, there was, let this page load. Okay. So, here we have an update name, a submitter, a build, and an update ID. So let's say there's this person KLab, who is the submitter, and then I have a build. Now whenever I have this build, right, now I have a list of test cases and a list of bugs. So these bugs are probably those bugs which people have faced and have reported, and some of them might be fixed, some of them might not be fixed. Now, if you see, Bodhi lets me test it. Now how? So you have a fixed set of test cases. Every single test case is going to point you to a wiki page. So the test case wiki page. So you can go to that wiki page and you can test. So let's say there's this test case for test case package install remove. So how to test is a section which is going to tell you what are you exactly going to test for. And then there is a expected result section which is going to tell you, oh well, if you have tested for something, then how exactly was it, or like how exactly it should have resulted. If your test results do not match with the expected test results, you're going to go to this page back and I'm going to mark this particular test case as a negative. So you can mark any test case negative and positive. So let's say I have this feedback part. So if you go down, like really down, you're gonna find this feedback part. So on the left hand side, you go, it will turn red. It means it's a negative or it's a fail. If you go on the right hand side, it means it's a positive. So in both you report your fails as -1 karma and you report your positive as +1 karma. So the moment you give a +1 karma, it actually says that you have actually done it. So every time you run a test case, it works. You can just go ahead, do a +1 karma, and then let's say I have tested this package. It works pretty well. So I can just go ahead and put all these basic test cases +1. I can add a comment LGTM, which looks good to me, and I can just go ahead and add a comment. So the moment I add a comment, it's going to show that I have tested it out. Now, one practical thing that you guys need to remember when you are testing for updates is like every time you are testing it for updates, you have to make sure that you have enabled the update testing repo, because as you know, updates don't hit directly to your operating system. So the easy way of understanding it is you go to my blog shumantram.blogspot.com and you search for Bodhi, and you're gonna end up with Bodhi blog post. If you just go a bit down, here's a step-by-step instruction of how you need to set up your VM for update testing, and then you can just go ahead and you can enable your update testing repo by simply doing this. So the point is, every time you execute these two statements, you're going to enable the update testing repo, and every time you do DNF update, it's going to pull up all those updates from the update testing repo, and it will let you test all those updates even before the release for any general, for the general public. That's how you do the update testing in Fedora. Now, coming back to your release validation testing. So the release validation testing does require you to have a VM and stuffs. Now in release validation, it's basically like this. So let's say I was in the test results page, right? Now I need to log in. So I hit a login button and I see that here, it will ask me to log in. So let me just put down my username, password. And let me just do it. And let me just enter. So once I'm entered, it's like wiki page, right? So I download whatever image I want to, I fire it up in a VM. How to fire it up on a VM? It's again on my blog. So if you just can follow this particular blog post, you can obviously find out how it is to be done. And then all you need to do is you need to go down a bit and you need to find out the test cases. So in most of the cases, this test cases will like take you to a wiki, and the wiki is gonna have a list of ways of how you can do it. I am gonna make a video on how to get started with release validation testing and update testing separately, but for this video this is just a very scratch of, for proficient people, this is just the like recap in a nutshell of the two types of testing in Fedora. One, release validation testing, where you download ISOs, spin them up on VMs, and then test and run multiple test cases against them. That's validations. And then you have updates, when you download ISO, spin that up on a VM, enable update testing repos, and then test for specific updates which you're gonna get a Bodhi. So these are the two ways we can run testing. We do run testing on Fedora today. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna come back with a series of GitHub, Bugzilla, a more detailed series of Easy Karma, and a more detailed series of release validation and Bodhi. So till then, stay tuned.